Welcome to Ninon Speaks. I'm Ninon de Rosa, your host for the day. We have a fascinating show. It's a little bit connected to the COVID-19, but not really directly, because the outcome is great. But what this gentleman went through, well, you're going to have the story right now. Clayton, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I've got you here as a guest on this. I met you the other day at the event at the Las Vegas meetup.
Yes, ma'am.
And then Steve said to me, my producer, he said, I have a great story, and this gentleman, Clayton, actually, we're lucky to see him here. You apparently nearly died.
I died 3 times.
Oh, you died 3 times.
I actually died.
Well, I guess third time lucky, right?
Actually a charm.
The charm, absolutely, the charm. So let's go back to when you first got sick, and when was this?
Roughly 2 years ago. I was hospitalized May 10th of 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Now, why were you hospitalized, and why did you decide to check yourself into the hospital? What happened at home?
Well, I just got a fever. I had a fever and it stayed, and that's where the COVID part comes in.
And that's when, because everything was, if you've got a fever or you've got a headache or you've got this, that, or the other, they had so many things going that you definitely had COVID.
These are all the symptoms of COVID.
Oh, COVID.
But I would just fight the fever, get the fever back, get into a cold shower, break the fever, get the fever back. And I really was thinking, because I was such a strong and hard-headed person.
Well, he's strong. He was 6'4".
I was 6'8".
6'8", and he's now 6'5".
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we'll get into that later.
Oh, yes.
Shrinking, but he's not old enough to shrink. I know what shrinking is, but you're too young for that. So anyway, so you had this fever, and it kept coming back.
It was just sustained fever, but that was all that I had. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a beast. I don't need to go to the hospital. If all COVID's got for me is a fever, I got this, and I'm going to come out the other end, and I'll start getting better soon. So I just stayed at the house and kept breaking the fever and getting in the cold shower.
And how long did that go on for?
A week and a half.
Oh, week and a half.
Week and a half it stayed. And finally, after about a week and a half, I was in the cold shower breaking the fever, and I come out, and my girlfriend was like, at the time, you're in shock. I'm taking you to the hospital right now. This is enough of this.
She had enough, and she just was very worried about you.
And she called up and got me to the hospital. And when I got there, they admitted me right away, and they took me upstairs to ICU. And that was the first time I died of the 3.
Now, how do you know you died?
I was told. I don't remember.
I was going to say, I'm asking you, how does someone know they're dead?
I was told at the end, after everything had happened, because most of it was a blur.
Two questions now. When you were in there and you did pass out, which obviously you passed out, did you have anything going on in your head where you were, or did you have like a dream or a vision? Because the reason I'm asking this, because Hal Roach, who's a good friend of mine, he actually went under, and he had this whole thing. He lifted from the bed, and he did all these incredible things. Did you have any in that?
I get asked that a lot. Did I see a light? Did you
see anything? The pearly gates?
My answer has been, I did not see a light any of the 3 times. None of the times that I died and flatlined.
You died 3 different times?
3 separate times.
So this is number 1. So we'll go to number 1 first. So when you came to, or when they told you that you came to, or when you came to that you didn't even know you were gone,
right?
How did you feel?
Like I said, the entire first 2 months that I was in there, because they put me in a medically induced coma. So I was in a coma for about two months the first time I was in the hospital. And when I finally was getting better, during that time I had died another time, and then after I was out, I died again.
And you don't recollect any of what happened then, or anything? This is just the doctors and everybody telling you that you passed out.
My mom, who was basically at the hospital and here for the last 2 years, in and out of the hospital with me over the last 2 years, and my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, they told me, because they got to watch me die 3 times, and it's like PTSD for them.
Yes, they must have and did they say you completely stopped breathing?
I flatlined. I was gone for 3 separate times, and
Didn't they tell you how long you were gone?
I didn't get to how long I was gone. I do know that my mom said that the third time, I think, that I was gone for a little bit longer than she was comfortable with.
She was getting nervous that
Everybody was getting nervous.
not coming back.
And
But with your strength and power, and he's a big guy, he's a strong guy. I mean, you played football and you've done, everything I know. So, was it
I played college football at the University of Alabama, so I've got to say Roll Tide. Alumni forever. I didn't go in the NFL, but instead I went and I pro wrestled.
Okay.
And I was with WCW, and I wrestled for a while. And then I started bodyguarding, security, and I still wanted to be in front of the camera. Actually, the first audition I had, the first movie I was in, that was how I got, one of the reasons I got the part. The directors were like, why did you start acting? I'm like, well, I got done wrestling and I still wanted to be in front of the camera, but I got tired of getting the crap beat out of me. So they liked that.
Because you always got those parts that to be beaten up.
I was always the
So you're this strong guy. Now all of a sudden, your poor mother and your wife now were afraid that you weren't coming back.
Correct.
So when you did come back the third time, obviously, I would imagine your strength wasn't that strong at that time. So you came back very, very weak.
Incredibly weak.
Now, by this time, how much weight had you lost? I think there's a photograph out there of the beginning. Steve is going to put some photographs up of there you go. This is before 285 pounds. And then after, with all this dramatic stuff going on, 180. I mean, for you're a big guy. That's an awful lot of weight to lose. In how long did you lose that weight? The months?
I lost that in the 2 months in the coma.
The 2 months?
Roughly the two months that I was in the hospital.
Did they ever give you a mirror so that you could look at yourself? I hope they didn't.
I did not.
Good. You look awfully, you lost so much weight there, but now you look at it because you're healthy. Then you're fine. And this is you. So after this time, so now what have they diagnosed you with? Because you now do not have COVID-19, correct?
I did not have COVID. What had happened was I had diverticulitis from 35 to 50. That's basically where your colon can get inflamed and infected, and it had perforated. And I leaked sepsis through my body.
And you didn't know?
I didn't have any idea. All it was doing was my body was telling me something was wrong by the fever.
And that's where the fever came in. You had enough going through your body.
Right. I was so bad, they were debating sending me to California for a liver transplant because it was that bad, and they don't do liver transplants in the body.
So this leakage was destroying your complete inside.
It just tears you up. If people don't realize what sepsis is, it's toxin.
Well, just by the name of it, it sounds pretty similar.
It's got a ugly name.
Like a septic tank,
Absolutely.
You think of that.
And that's exactly the best. That's a perfect word. That's a perfect word. It was a septic tank.
Oh my God.
My liver filled up with nastiness where they were debating on sending me to California for an entire liver transplant. My kidney got so nasty, it shut down completely. I was on dialysis for a month and a half.
They did not know this when you came in. They had no idea. So they were treating you for COVID properly because of the temperature.
That was the original thought is coming in. We were thinking that, we told them that, and it wasn't until they got me up and I had died and they started running tests that they're like, we got something.
There's something else had going on, so which fortunately they decided to do that.
Right.
So I was going to say you were near death, but you did die actually and came back. So now they've found out what's wrong with you. What did they have to do with your system? Because it's like I would imagine taking everything out of your system and putting it with the blood. Would it be everything?
I had
blood transfusion.
I had blood transfusions, the dialysis, cleaning the blood, all those tubes that you saw in those photos.
Yes, can we have another photo?
I don't know if you can see all the tubes because it was cleaner with those. But
these are definitely all the tubes.
There's
that's just
most of those were pulling junk out of my body. There was, I were pulling junk out of my nose from my lungs. I had 2 pints of that. I was out.
You were passing.
I was gone.
I
don't no idea about any of these. I saw these pictures after the fact and was like,
how long did all this take?
all in all, this hospitalization.
Not the whole hospital. I mean, how long did it take to get all this stuff out of you? About a week?
Oh, it took longer than that. They had me during the approximate a little over a month. I think I was in the coma, and that was nonstop.
Taking that when they're drawing everything out, are they giving you something back in again? I mean, I don't know how that works.
I'm still not sure how it works. The miracle workers,
they know what they're doing.
Know what they're doing.
Did you on the blood? You had to have all that changes. I would imagine.
Yes, ma'am.
So as soon as that goes out, you can't live without any blood. So they must be putting it in as they take it out. I would imagine. I don't know. I mean, this is.
And sadly, I don't know much either. My mom was there, and she used to be a nurse. So I left all that to her. Everybody was just like, you just focus on getting better. And that was the hard part. So I tried, So
how did you turn around to get better when you're so weak, you've lost so much weight, and you're kind of out there in no man's land, actually? How did with your mind, did you suddenly decide that I've got to get strong, I've got to fight this?
Well, that's been my mindset. Maybe that's the hard-headedness that got me in this mess, but the hard-headedness got me out of it as well. And honestly, when I came out, I never really faltered. I always stayed positive, looking forward. I've always tried to be that type of person.
Okay.
I found out at one point, though, I guess I wasn't that type of person when I was out of it. I told my mom, and she didn't want to hear this. I told my mom, just let me go.
Of course she doesn't want to help. Nobody wants.
While I was out. I didn't remember saying that, but apparently I had a multiple weakness.
You must have. I mean, did you feel any pain? I mean, you also felt pain, or did they give you enough stuff to keep you down?
So wacko. I was completely.
No, I'm not laughing. It's just amusing of the power and strength that you had, and you must have had that tenacity to keep yourself going.
Just try to stay forward.
Try to stay.
I'll try to stay moving forward, and I never let it.
See, if I get another photograph up, but it goes an airplay up instead. But that's okay. It's not up, Steve. It's got to come up somewhere. But
except for that one lapse, when I told my mom to let me go, my mindset's always been, I'm gonna get through this.
Well, I think that's been you since you went football and then you went into the ring, and I think you're kind of like that. But as you said, you always had this desire in the back of you to be an actor, and so you always have that strength because you obviously know how hard it is to be an actor. Because I think everybody in the universe wants to be an actor. But the funny part is that everybody in the universe is a ham. Everybody's a ham in some way or another.
If they admit it or not.
Yeah, admit it or not. We're all hams. We all want to, that little bit of honesty. And so how long you were in there? You say 2 months.
It was about 2 months the first hospitalization. And I was in rehab for a while after, at a different facility after I got good enough to be moved out of ICU and start the rehabbing. And then I got out, and luckily my mom was around being a nurse. She was able to give me IVs at home, which got me out sooner. I started working out as soon as I could. I was in a walker going to the gym.
And you were still weighing 180 pounds. Or maybe less.
I was about 180 pounds when I got out of the hospital and started back to the gym, learning to walk again.
Yes.
And try to get my strength back so I could get back to being a normal human being again. And then the second round hit, I started feeling unwell. I had to go back to the hospital. Long story short, I had to go by
same hospital,
different hospital this time because the first hospital was not taking any more patients because they were too full from COVID patients at that point.
Okay.
So the ambulance came to the house and they took me to another hospital.
How did you feel?
That was some of the worst pain I've had. It felt like somebody was stabbing a knife from the inside of me out. And what had happened was my colon was perforated again. And So this time, it might have been the first one that had healed up on its own, but this time it broke through. They took me into the hospital. I was in the ER, and this time they did emergency surgery, cut about 18 inches of my colon out, put the ostomy bag on me. I wore that for a while.
Oh, you must have.
Then I dropped right back down. I got back up to about 210 pounds. And then after I got out of the hospital that time, learning to walk again, I was back to 180.
Are you getting a little bit nervous as to how your inside is? Because now this is the second time and you're thinking, oh, this could be a third time. This could not. This is really being agonizing, and you're feeling so bad. The second time you went to the hospital, you obviously reluctantly went in, but you had to go because you felt so bad.
This one, the extreme pain got me there, but I was not excited, and I definitely wasn't planning on staying there. Well, when I got the sharp pain, I knew something was off.
Now, did the second hospital, because this could be very tricky. The first hospital's got all your papers, all your stuff and everything else, and then you go to another hospital. Now, they don't have any papers on you. Do they transfer the papers? And they did, because normally do all that.
Medical records.
So they sent all the medical records back to the second hospital.
Correct.
So they were able to diagnose actually where you've been and what you've done. And so they knew what was going on. Are they still calling this COVID, or are they? They're not.
At this point, it stopped being COVID after I got put under, and was
when they realized once you didn't really have.
Yeah, and all of that. So at this point, I had the surgeon. The first hospitalization, I probably had 8 specialists from blood doctors to infectious control to gastro doctors.
Did they come in from out of town as well to see you, or did they just look?
They were all local, but they were all different specialties. So the people are like, "Well, who's your doctor?" I'm like, "Which one?"
Well, I know we can joke about it now, but at that time, I'm quite sure it was not a joke.
I wasn't happy. My girlfriend wasn't happy.
And you certainly weren't happy.
I definitely wasn't.
Why, second time around, how long were you in the hospital?
There again, it was about a month and a half.
How long was that? To drain?
Just this time, it was just to heal, because this time they actually had to cut me open, go in and cut out a chunk of my colon, and I had to get
that bag and
I put the ostomy bag on, and
then you don't have the bag anymore, correct?
I got the bag taken off about a year and a half later. It was supposed to be for 5 months or 4 months.
Yeah, but do you know how lucky you are not to have the bag? Because the majority of people that have this problem
keep it.
They keep the bag. I've known a few friends of mine, a little older, but they've had to keep the bag. And in fact, a friend of mine just passed away. They dumped the bag, and that's very odd.
I was definitely self-conscious, and it was horrible to deal with. You're just, you're cleaning it because you have to change it every day.
Well, yeah.
And you're looking at just nastiness. So I was happy to get the bag off. I was supposed to get the bag off sooner, but I actually got COVID in the midst of all this.
So we do have COVID.
There is COVID in the system.
And I would imagine that is because you're so down, and your resistance to anything at the moment.
I have no idea. I got it probably,
in the hospital.
I was out. This was after I had been out for a while.
Okay.
And I was back working out and going around, and I had actually went to an award show. I was out. I think I saw you. I was at a
I was probably doing a red carpet or something.
On a red carpet.
What was it, the Galaxy? Yeah.
Correct. And I went there for a movie that I had been supposed to be in. But it's weird because one of the first days I was supposed to shoot was one of the first days I was in the hospital the first time around. So I was like, I'm sorry. And I must give a shout out to the Mayhall brothers.
Oh, the Mayhall brothers are amazing. So
they paid me because they had offered the part to me, and I took it, even though I didn't do the part.
And they paid you anyway.
They gave.
Oh, how honorable!
They're fantastic guys. I love working for them. I will work for you again.
Yeah, I hope one day I can work.
But
this place, can we do something? Give myself a little shout out.
There we go. Put her in.
Yeah, they're great.
So I saw you then, and I was out and about. I was, trying to get strong again.
Oh, because you were weak and everything else, so you could act to sort of catch anything around you. And a lot of people went out that had COVID.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't tell people they had COVID because now they're not believing in it because everything else that's going on and all this, that, and the other. It was a disastrous thing.
I caught it. I didn't even know I had it. I had 0 symptoms on this time.
Oh, you mean you? Oh, this is confuses me.
Mm-hmm.
That you go and get tested and they say you've got COVID. You feel 100% perfect. You have nothing wrong with you, but you're just being nice because everybody wants to be tested.
I had to get tested before they would take the bag off of me. I had to get a colonoscopy so that they could check and make sure everything was good before they took.
Oh, I agree with that. I think.
Oh yeah, they had to check and make sure everything was set.
Absolutely.
So when they were like, but before we do the colonoscopy, we need you to get tested for COVID. Like, no worries, got it. Went down and got tested for COVID.
COVID.
And I get the call and they're like, hey, we're sorry you got COVID. You tested positive. I'm like, have you got the right person? And so
I've had so many people tell me the same story.
Correct.
And I just don't get that. If they say you've got it and you don't have any symptoms, how could you have it? Well, I'm not going to argue with anybody on that, and I'm not going to get into the fight because I have my own opinion about COVID, but I don't think anybody would like to have.
I'll tell it. I'll tell my opinion on it.
So what's your opinion?
Well, I never got the vaccine. I didn't like it.
Okay.
I never got vaccinated. And then, unluckily, but luckily, because I was so weak, at all the doctor's visits I would go to, every doctor would be like, have you been vaccinated? I'm like, no. They're like, would you like to get vaccinated while we're in here today?
No.
I'm like, the doctors told me my immune system is too weak to get the vaccine. I would immediately get it and get bad. They're like, no worries.
Looks like all you need is another.
I just gave them an excuse, the reasoning that I had, and so I never got vaccinated. And during that whole time when everybody, you got to get vaccinated, I never did.
So you obviously didn't.
I still haven't got the vaccine, and I wouldn't want to get the vaccine.
Well, I had to get the vaccine because my brother passed away in England. So I get the vaccination and get my travel prepared to travel because I've got to go through the airport back to England.
Correct.
But then I find out, after I check everything, I didn't realize this, there was 10 days quarantine at Heathrow Airport. I had to stay at Heathrow. I couldn't even go to my brother's and stay there. But he wouldn't want me anyway to stay there, right, you know, if I had COVID. But it was nothing to do with COVID. I didn't have COVID. Right. It was just that was 10 days quarantine. I could be dead by then.
There's a lot of people that got the vaccine that have been dropping down. I was tempted many times because I was like, I want to get back into acting. Out in L.A., almost every studio was like, to have to get vaccinated.
Yes. That was the problem. It was like mandatory.
I haven't been able to get that to work yet.
I did have it, and I had, before I had it, I was fine. Everything was wonderful. Mm-hmm. After I had it, I kind of have a dizzy thing, and then I had headaches that wouldn't quit. Then I had the arm problem. But I didn't feel 100% after the vaccine than before. And this lasted for about a year.
Well, I'll take it a step further than that. After I got COVID, I finally had to wait a while to let COVID subside, get retested.
Yeah.
I was fine. Did the colonoscopy. Everything looked good. I can get the bag off. Great. Couple of months it's 2 more months before I can schedule my appointment to get the bag off. Got the bag off. Went to go get the bag off for the first appointment. They're like, okay, you do your little pre-screening at there. Okay, I did my EKG, my blood work, all that to get ready. So you do surgery. Everything, I thought everything was perfect. I go in there the day of my surgery and I'm laying there and they're like, your EKG's a little funny. It looks like you've got AFib. Have you ever had AFib? Afibrillation, which is an improper irregular heart rate.
Yeah, it's fibrillation of the heart.
Never had that before. The only difference between beforehand, all these years of never always having a strong heart, to now was COVID.
So that was COVID.
I still have AFib. I'll have AFib for the rest of my life now and I take blood pressure medication and blood thinners because of the AFib for the rest of my years.
Well, they do pacemakers for that, don't they? You can have a pacemaker under fibrillation. You can. And I know why, because my husband, he passed away, but he had fibrillation of the heart for many years. And I used to sort of, we watch television, I'd be laying on his side, and
you could hear like,
they simply, awfully far. And I would tell him, your heart's going awfully far. He ignored me totally. Men don't like doctors, all this stuff. Anyway, he happened to have a checkup, and he was rushed to hospital to have a pacemaker. He had a pacemaker.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he took all these, I think it was Sir Thomas Dr. Sir Thomas at Cedars-Sinai took care of him. And he used to take all these different pills, oh, so much stuff.
Oh, yes.
So I would imagine would make you 10 times worse than what you were. Would give you a fibrillation, that might cure it. But anyway, they have their way of doing it.
As soon as I could, I started, obviously I got back into the gym immediately as soon as the doctor, actually a little bit before the doctors cleared me to go back to the gym. I didn't work out, but I at least went in there and started doing cardio because my fault was I got to get my heart.
I've got to get your whole.
First up is the heart, my lungs, because I could barely walk. I would get, I started out learning to walk again, shuffling down the,
You have a picture of him walking or something, Steve. I think he's got something.
Oh,
Here we go. Look, this is in the hospital room, and
that's learning to walk again.
This is learning to walk. And you can see for yourself that his weight, and you can see how tall he is again. Either the guy next to you is very short or you're very tall. One or the other.
Yeah, they come into the doorway.
You're very, and
that was my first thing on that.
When you started walking and you did that, how did you feel? Did you feel, I'm getting backhand?
In the beginning, I was like, wow, this is horrible. It's too much work just to be standing. I had to, he had that strap around was for him to help me stand up.
So he could pull you.
So he could help pull me up, and he kept hold of it in case because I would get dizzy during the walk and lose breath. And that's why it was like 2 steps.
And when you couldn't walk too much, did you sort of say, I'm not going to take any notice of the dizziness. I'm going to keep walking a few more steps? Because this sounds like your tenacity.
Absolutely.
It seems like, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to walk more. I'm going to do more, because if I do that, I can do more the next time.
Exactly. Once I felt like I wasn't going to do any more damage to myself by pushing myself.
Yeah, well, you're in the right place. If something happened, you're in the hospital, so they should readjust whatever they have to. But
they continually told me, don't overdo it. Let's take this little steps, baby steps. But like you said, I was like,
as a man, you're sort of, you have been diminished to this illness, and it's kind of, for a man, a woman is not so bad. She's maybe a little more used to it. I don't think so. I think she just takes a different attitude. But for a man, this is right, like sort of, I've lost my manhood. I've lost this. How did you feel about all that stuff?
I couldn't stand it. It really
tough time.
Exaggerating the fact is it also, because I've always done bodyguard work. I've always done action movies. I was always, the fight scenes, and all of that stuff was gone. So the acting, I haven't acted. I haven't done any acting since this happened, and I've kind of had to reevaluate what I'm going to do. Reprise my roles now.
Yeah, because you're a man. You've got to earn money. You've got to do stuff. You've got a whole lifetime.
Right.
And I probably shouldn't ask you this question, but I'm going to. Do you get disability or anything, or are you covered by insurance? Or because you're not taking Medicare or anything like that yet. You're too young.
I got lucky that I was able to get emergency Medicaid.
Oh.
My girlfriend at the time, she got on it immediately. I was 3 weeks late, and they retrograded made it retroactive and started it from the beginning. So thank God for that, and thank her for that.
Because you still got bills, you still got everything to pay, you're not married. And
right.
Quite sure she would take the responsibility, but at the same time, it was a big responsibility to take on.
And she did, and credit cards did, and that's been.
So are you still on Medicare, and you?
I'm still on the Medicaid as far as for the medical expenses, but I've been fighting disability for the last 2 years. I just, 2 weeks ago, finally got officially denied my disability. So I turned it over because I had a law group representing me now, and I've been doing all the work. I was getting the medical records and sending them out. I was calling up and staying on it. So
probably saving yourself money because you don't exactly have too much because you're not out there working.
Well, they're going to take 25% of my money when I get it from the government. So that's when I told them. I was like, at this point, I was irritated. I was angry when I got. So I was like, you know what? They denied me, so it's official now. So now y'all can start earning your money.
Yes.
And get on it, because I've been I didn't have it. I wasn't able to work for 2 years.
Going all through this and being the man you are and the things you've done, what do you think of our sort of medical system? Or what do you think of, I mean, it sounds like they treated you pretty well in the hospital. Sounds like they were pretty good. But
I'm happy with the medical system, the hospitals, even though you're hugely understaffed. That's the biggest issue. CNAs that were supposed to be changing my diapers while I was in the coma.
of course, we forget all that stuff.
They were not, it might be months. I had, there was neglect because there were so few of them running around dealing with all these patients all over the place. With viewer workers, no patients.
With the staff that were there, it was the understaff that wasn't there.
Correct.
So they were the hospital was trying to do the best they could, which is always nice to hear because, and I think nurses are one of the greatest people out there. I don't know how they get through their days and what they do when they're there. And, shout out to all you nurses out there. I've met many of you and you are all absolutely incredible. And they are.
My mother and my grandmother were both nurses.
Oh, so I just said the right thing.
So, yes. And my mom adores the primary nurse, the main head honcho nurse.
Yes.
At the first hospital. Should I mention the hospital?
You can mention the hospital. Of course you can.
Henderson Hospital.
Henderson Hospital.
A lot of people,
shout out to Henderson Hospital.
You hear a lot of things said. I've heard things negative said about Henderson Hospital. My head honcho nurse, Emily, who actually quit there and is transferred, moved. They're only supposed to work a certain amount of shifts before they have to take a day off.
Yes.
She was switching up shifts to be able to work with me. She loved me. She loved my mom. And even though I actually choked her in the middle of being out. I was delusional.
I'm sure you said you were sorry.
Oh, absolutely. I felt
didn't really mean it.
In my coma. People think you're sleeping when you're in a coma. You're not asleep. They have to glue your eyes shut. They glue your eyes shut, and I was sleep deprived and under heavy medication. I had delusions. I thought both my mom, my girlfriend, the system, they were trying to kill me.
Did you at one time going through all this while you were in this dilemma that just let me go, let me die? Did you ever feel that?
I said that to my mom.
And that's the words you said.
That was during this time, and I don't remember.
You just said it, but I was saying you don't remember it, but you actually felt that, though.
Apparently
you did.
And then, like I said, in my mind,
So,
I never had that.
What would you advise anybody out there of what you went through at the very beginning, and you didn't really check yourself out as to what was going on until your girlfriend at that time decided that you're going to go to the hospital? If it wasn't for her, would you have gone?
Probably not. I would have probably ended up collapsing right then. Might have been the time.
Yeah. So you advise people to keep an eye on what's going on.
I've got a couple of my deep thought messages for everybody, and I've told them to friends, and I've had friends actually get checked out. First things first, if you don't be too proud and don't be pig-headed, go get checked out if you have an issue, because your body is such a wound up thing. The doctor said because I'd eaten right, not smoked, been healthy my whole life is the only reason I'm here today.
Because you were healthy.
I've been there.
Because of the lifestyle you took on.
Not just the working out, but the eating, everything together, the health conscious. I was always nutrition, everything. I preached it to my friends, everything.
So take good care of your inner self. I mean, we always take care of our outside, us women with the creams and all this stuff and everything else. But it's the inside as well that you must really take care of that first.
And the other thing is mentally, stay strong. Always push forward. Don't let other people or the circumstances, that people have told me over and over, they're like, how I don't know what I would have done in that situation. And I always, part of me, but, what else is there to do? You just put your head down and keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
That, or else what? You're going to go and lay down and die.
Yeah, because I've always said to people, because I do a lot of teaching with Ninon Speaks, I've always said that, this is all we have. We might have a house and cars and money and all sorts of stuff. And we actually, and you know this more than anybody knows it, you actually only have the body. And if you don't take care of that body on the inside, it's probably more important. It's like when you have thoughts, you're the only one that has those thoughts, or whatever you think about somebody else, or whatever thoughts you have, you're the only one that has that, unless you verbally give it to somebody else. Because the only way somebody else knows about you is when you verbally tell them.
Correct. That's why I'm here.
That's exactly why you're here. So
Denzel Washington has a great quote. I love Denzel as well. He's
he's a very actor.
An actor and an amazing man. He's a God-fearing man and
yes, he
not
is.
A Bible thumper. But I can.
But you cook with him.
He says you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse.
That's Ryan.
You never see a U-Haul behind a hearse.
Behind a hearse. No.
My uncle's a pastor, and if you don't mind, I can delve a little bit.
Yes, you can a little bit. We've got a little bit of time. We've got a little bit of time, Steve.
He's a pastor. When he found out that I was in the coma, that I was dying on death's door, he prayed and got his congregation to pray down in Alabama.
Got his team and everybody together.
I had prayers from around the world from people that I apparently had touched. I didn't realize it. I always tried to be good to people and try to treat people the way that I would want to be treated, but you never realize how much of what you're doing. People coming out that I hardly remember just coming out.
And also people that you don't even know at all giving you procedures, because they have a lot of that out there.
When I was out of the hospital the first time and I was getting better, he called me and he's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, back when I found out, I prayed for you. We all prayed for you." I was like, "Okay." And he goes, "I had a dream the other night. God told me in the dream that when I had prayed, I found out, he had dispatched his angel Gabriel to come and help you. And he was held in the air." This is in the dream after the fact. He was held in the air for 28 days by a demon before he was able to break free and get to you. He didn't know any of the numbers. Nobody knows any of the numbers about how many days I was in the coma.
Don't tell me it was 28 days.
It was around 28 days before I actually started turning the tide and getting better. There was a chaplain that walked into the room, and there was a dankness, like that picture of my mom in there over me praying.
Yes.
There was a dank.
You have that picture?
There was a dankness in that room that you could just tell was muggy. That one there. Yeah. It was very dark in there. Well, all those computers and machines around me. When the chaplain came in, he was like, "Can you mind if I pray for it?" And she's like, "Absolutely." So he was in the middle of praying for me. Those machines started flickering, flopping around, going different. My girlfriend came in after he was leaving, and that's what happened. But my mom was, shook.
She saw it.
She was there, and after that was the same time as well. And everything transitioned and started.
So the machines were readjusted.
They were like,
the word of mouth of this priest.
They just started. It was like there was a battle going on there. And after he left, the dankness in the room went away.
Now, if any of you out there, I know a lot of us believe and a lot of us don't believe, but this is coming as a true story. So you can believe you can do anything you want, and I would never say do it. You think how you want to think. But when you hear a story like this, you've got to kind of think, this is...
I've never been one to push religion on anybody's face, but I will when people ask me, because people at the gym come up to me and they're like, "I remember you when you were huge," and I'm like, "What happened to you?" Well, let me tell you.
Long story.
I condense it a little bit in the middle of the workout, got the bottom line. And when I get to that, I had a guy at the gym, and hopefully that's important.
But it's just to me, because I know a lot of people when you go up sometimes, and I never want to, whoever
do what you want to do.
Yes, and I'm a great believer in do what your heart wants and do what you want, because maybe that's the right road for you, and that'll get you better. Or whoever it may be, nothing is wrong, actually. I don't believe there's anything wrong in this world that you do, except when violence and all that stuff, yeah.
I've never been, a driving force like that.
No.
However, all I can tell you after my experience, I am. And I never saw a light, but I felt a peace.
You feel at peace.
I didn't see a light.
Do you go to church, or do you just do it at home? Because I think
I can do it at home just because I just still don't get out much. I mean, I'm starting to get out more and more.
And your wife now, does she feel that way too? Or that
She's a whole different person. She never believed at all, and now she believes. But
she saw by us.
Absolutely.
And your mother, of course.
She's always been.
What's with your father in all this?
They've my stepdad is back home. He allowed my mom to come out and stay here on and off for 2 years to look over me and help medicate me. But
Side and Joe, are you the only child?
I'm the oldest. I was her first child and the oldest by 10 years. And as she likes to say, we grew up together because she was a single mother. She had divorced my biological
father.
And
your father.
We grew up together. She was like, I was almost a kid when I had you. So we grew up together. So
yeah, that's nice. That you take the good side of that.
I'm a mama's boy, or self-proclaimed mama's boy.
I totally don't. You don't find it at all. Well. So now that we've been through all this of really dying, I mean, I can't say he didn't. He did 3 times. So, I think I'm very lucky, Clayton, to have you right with me having this interview. So I guess my message would be, don't give up.
Never give up.
Don't give up. As sick as you may be, a strength, and I'm going to say, a God-given strength will come into you.
I believe it.
Because you've just given that message that will heal you. And if you feel that the tenacity to you want to live, but you said you wouldn't die. So I don't know.
I said that in the middle, but I don't remember something.
I don't know where came from. Anyway, you still.
Yeah, there's times
What are you doing now?
I'm back working. I'm not able to do the bodyguard work like I was. I'm just about, I'm trying to start acting again. I'm going to see what I can do.
To acting school again, because, even if you're the greatest actor in the world, this is just what I was told. Even if you're the greatest actor in the world, you still go to acting school.
You can always learn.
Yeah, you would always learn. So even if you're not doing something, maybe you want to go back and just sort of, let people know you're around and you're doing stuff and out there like you were at the event.
Just get my face back out in the place. And I'm looking into, I had done voiceover work before.
Yeah, you have a great voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was looking into that because that would be the next step from a wrestler going to action movies, going to regular acting, and now to voiceover work as I'm getting more and more tired of movement. My body's getting beat up. So
do you feel it's going to come back, or do you feel that you've lost some things that maybe not come back?
I'm not ever going to be the physical presence that I was. I just can't.
Well, I'm going to turn around and say, don't think that way. Because you have a positive way of thinking. So think that you're going to be the same as you were before.
I can believe and I can work hard that I might look the same, but my inside is wrecked. Yeah. I had injuries from all my years of destroying myself as a sports and stuff.
Sports, you got knocked around a little bit there.
And after losing all the muscle and going down to that emaciated weight that I was, learning to get back, ground down a lot of the joints that I had already had issues with. So the doctors told me I need shoulder surgery on both shoulders. And I don't want to go back underneath the knife, so I'm holding off on that as long as I can. I need knee surgery.
Just lots of exercises like women do, they keep doing these round things.
I do the therapy. I've done physical therapy myself that I learned through the different therapies over all the years of playing sports. I know all the physical therapy for the different injuries.
So what would you like to tell somebody else when you get a headache or when you feel a little bit sick? What would you like to say to the audience out there to do?
As far as physically, make sure you drink water. But if you're feeling something
that's not right,
definitely go see.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be a pighead. Don't just drop your pride and go get checked out.
Men don't like to see doctors. I mean, last thing I'm macho. I don't need a doctor.
And I've had a whole bunch of my giant friends that from wrestling and the mixed martial arts and the football from over the years that after keeping up with me on Facebook and such have told me already. They're like, yeah, I had some discomfort in my, so I went to the doctor. I've got a colonoscopy scheduled for next month just to be.
I don't say you should have a colonoscopy every 2 years or 3 years. Actually, I made my husband have one. And he had 3 scallops, whatever they call them.
Polyps.
Polyps. They had 3 polyps. And if I hadn't have made him go, because he hated the doctors, and he's something,
They may have
just away sooner. Yeah. I was, how can anybody reach you to get the acting parts and the voiceovers? How can anybody reach you?
Clay Trimble 58 at gmail.com.
How cool is that? Yeah. Oh, it's easy.
And if you want to keep up with my progress, if anybody cares,
Oh, they all care. Come on.
Facebook and Instagram are both. I got real creative with my name, so it's Clay Trimble.
Clay is Clay Clay and Clay Trimble. Well, sounds as bad as my name.
Instagram is Clayton M. Trimble because somebody hacked my Clay Trimble.
Oh, okay.
Well,
But one time.
Clayton M. Trimble is
Well,
real Clay Trimble.
We had a great interview with Clay Trimble. I got them all in there, right?
Yes.
And absolutely an amazing story. He didn't give up. And because he didn't give up, he's still here with us. And that's amazing. And you're going to get all the jobs you want. And thank you for tuning into Ninon Speaks. We will be coming up with more interviews. And you know, my interviews have changed a little bit. I now love to have somebody on with a story. I believe, Clayton, you certainly had a story.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon. Take care.